our chair is off gallivanting around Florida right now, so I get the opportunity to take his job for the night. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was meeting with a friend of mine and I said, I have to do the announcement at the beginning of the ribbon cutting. And he went, have to or get to? And I was like, you know what? I get to. Perspective is wonderful like that. Honestly, it is a get to. It is definitely a get to with this building for sure. We were at a ribbon cutting just next door basically 2 days ago, and the amount of thought and love that our business owners and our community leaders put back into our downtown is just, I'm in awe of it. I'm sure if you guys have visited the various floors, you are now in awe as well. So it's just so cool. Now, when we were there just 2 days ago, Mayor Absher made a comment to Steve Fowler, something about a whole lot of vision and maybe a little bit of crazy to take on a project like this. And so I don't know if that was an admission about himself just a couple days early or what was going on there, but definitely, I'm sure if you saw this building beforehand, there's a little bit of crazy and a whole lot of vision happening here. But so great what our business leaders continue to do, and I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Absher to say a few things.
Good evening. I am so incredibly grateful that all of you are here. It's quite a turnout, and so appreciative of that fact to celebrate this milestone, not just with our foundation, but with really the community. I've got several people I want to thank tonight. I'm going to let Russ Williams speak, who's going to speak after me, speak more about what's going to happen in this building. I'll give you a little bit of why it's going to happen after I thank some people. So, first of all, this building is owned by the philanthropic arm of the Watermark Auto Group, which is hence named Watermark Auto Group Foundation. There are 3 board members, 2 others other than myself, one is which is my wife, Cheryl Absher, which is right over here to my left. And back next to the farthest column is David Griffin. They helped me steward the foundation's resources and graciously agreed to buy this building and go on with some crazy that I had in mind about 6 years ago. I'll talk about that just a little bit. I want to thank Russ Williams, who also about 6 years ago I talked into crazy, which was to lead an effort to create a small business incubator, and that we didn't have a place to do it necessarily yet. And I think probably when we both saw this building for the first time and I said this is where it's going to be at, we had absolutely no concept that it would take as long to get to this night that it did. So Russ, thank you for sticking with it all this time. Tara Farthing, where did Tara go? Tara also works at the incubator, the only other full-time, well, actually not full-time, but person that works here. Tara is the program coordinator, so she helps Russ with the programming that we've limped along with for the last 4 years while we're contemplating this project, planning the project, and then under construction. And then her husband, Byron, who's standing right behind us, has done an awful lot of work also with the building. We appreciate you, Byron, very much. I also want to thank my son, Cole Absher. I don't know where there he is. Back here, wave, Cole. Cole ended up at the end, towards the end of the project, as the superintendent, working for Smith Hafley, which I'll get to in a minute. Smith Hafley is the general contractor of the building, and Cole worked for them. Didn't start on this project, but ended up on this project. And then when that ended, Cole decided to stay on as the foundation superintendent of this building, despite that it's been completely renovated. It's still a 114-year-old building, and it's going to require lots of TLC. And so that's Cole's primary role in helping us. There's nobody on the planet at this point that knows the innards, so to speak, of the building like Cole does. And I'm so proud that, one, he's working with my family again and taking on this passion project. In addition to that, Jeff Moak, which I've lost track of. Where's Jeff?
Back there. There he is.
Jeff, step forward, please. Where are you at? Jeff also is a team member at Watermark, and among many other things, has worked diligently on this project. Cole and Jeff worked all day, as did Tara and Byron and Russ and my wife and everybody else to get ready for you guys tonight. Thank you, Jeff. So as I mentioned already, Smith Hafley, I want to give some gratitude to. It was the general contractor on this project. This really started with basing our architects when we went to them and asked for a plan. Markham Engineering was one of the, and I think they have a subcontractor, BFW Engineering, that works with Markham, that all kind of designed the project. There are numerous subcontractors, which are literally too numerous to mention, but anybody that had a hand on any part of this building, I want to give gratitude to. I want to make a special point of gratitude to Rob Lundgren, who for the vast majority of the time of construction owned and operated the Vault Cafe on the first floor. His successor is now John and Allison Covington. They have all, primarily, if there's a definition of patience, you'd have to include all those folks because their businesses were extraordinarily disrupted, as was Banterra Bank, who I am just so grateful for. They've been extraordinary neighbors, also very patient, very gracious with the absolute god-awful mess that we've made over the last 5 years. So I want to thank them all. Also want to thank Martin Parsons, who has been our foundation attorney. I saw Martin earlier. You can't miss him. He's always in a paisley shirt. Right? There are undoubtedly a number of people that I've left out that have contributed materially to this, but I don't want to take up any more of your time. And I just appreciate everybody that's had to do with this project, literally has had hands in it. But most of all, I want to thank, most of which are not represented here tonight, but I want to thank all of the Watermark Auto Group employees, because without them, their expertise and their ability to not only earn a living for me, but it's the earnings from the business that fund this foundation. And so really I owe all thanks to them and God for the ability to even dream of something like this. So let me segue just real briefly into, I don't want to get into what's going on in the building, I'm going to let Russ do that. But I will admit that I have had an absolute irrational attachment / love for this building since I was a little boy. And it always kind of saddened me, and literally my entire upbringing. I will be 56 years old this year, so I'm no spring chicken myself. And for as long as I can remember, this building has been idle, but yet it's been iconic and sitting here just waiting for redevelopment. And so when I say irrational, is that no rational person would have taken this on. And I do have to also extend some gratitude. Because we are a 501c3, we also qualified for federal government assistance through the Economic Development Administration. Had it not been for them, in addition to the Watermark employees and the earnings from the business contributed to this, there's no way this project would have ever happened. If it weren't a not-for-profit, it wouldn't have happened. So I want to thank, it seems weird to thank the federal government, but in a way that I'm thanking all of you, because your tax dollars in some way contribute to this. And so I want to thank you all too in that regard. But as far as the big picture, again, going back to my irrational attachment to this, I really had one overarching dream for this building. You guys know, most of you know, I also currently serve as mayor of the town, so I maybe have a little bit more connection and love and labor of love for the town itself, particularly the square, than some people do. And of course, this is a kind of a cornerstone of it here on the square. But the building was built in 1914. We've got drafted plans I'd love to show you, except they're so brittle. It looks like they were drawn, literally they were drawn the same year the Titanic was built, if you think of it that way. We literally have the original blueprints, and they are blue, and they're written out by hand by draftsmen. They're incredibly detailed. They're gorgeous in themselves and a piece of art. And I got to thinking about that, and my overarching dream for this was put simply when we announced that we got the grant. And that's what I want to leave you with. This building was here before my grandfather was born, who is no longer here. And my goal is for it to be here after my grandchildren, who have not yet been born, are gone. And I'm so grateful for all of you, for all the people that I mentioned, because I think we pulled it off, and I think this building will serve this town. More importantly, as the foundation owns it after my generation passes, I hope to leave enough resources for the foundation to serve this town in perpetuity. And that's a perfect segue of why we're keeping the name The Citadel. And that's why the last thing I wanted to point out. Does anybody know what the definition of a citadel is by chance? Nobody wants to volunteer, do you? Somebody know? High point in the city. That is correct. That's correct. The definition I like to use, which is what we're going to go with, Amy. It's a fortress overlooking and protecting the city. So we're going to leave the name The Citadel, and I hope that the foundation, whether it's continued to name Watermark or something else as we progress, will serve this community for generations long after I'm here, and so and long after my generation is here. So with that, thank you for coming. Thank you for all of your patience as we've gone through this project. And now I'll turn it over to Russ Williams, who's the founding and executive director of EThOs, which is a doing business as for the business incubator through the Watermark Auto Group Foundation.
Yeah, it was 6 whole years ago that I met with Mayor Absher. We actually met in the cafe downstairs, and I thought I was going to talk him into another project, and he introduced me to this project. I didn't know what it was at first. He just said that he fell in love, him and Cheryl fell in love with this building, and really wanted to bring it back to life. So built in 1914, or opened in 1914, it was the Marion State and Savings Bank downstairs. These upper floors were professional offices, because literally in 1914, the city didn't extend more than 3 or 4 blocks from here. So if you wanted to do business, you came downtown to the square, and your doctors, your attorneys, your CPAs, your dentists were all in this building. That closed during the Great Depression, the Great Bank Run, but by 1940, another owner came in and converted these top 3 floors, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, to the Hotel State. So some of you may remember that it was the Hotel State from 1940 all the way to 1970. And then a couple owners later, a man named John Anderson purchased the building and ran different businesses from the building. That would be Tom Anderson, who's here on my left, part of our band tonight. That's his father. And Tom actually brought his bride to come live. They lived on the 3rd floor downstairs, and that was the whole floor was their suite for a couple decades. And John, Tom's dad, is the one who named it the Citadel. So the day that the mayor introduced me to this project, he was talking about a small business incubator. He has a love for small businesses and helping entrepreneurs. And I had seen in other cities what's called co-working spaces, community space where people could come in and do their work. And so we talked about both of those as we went from floor to take a look at these spaces on that same day. And it was a hot, hot day, no air conditioning. And he said, "Do you want to go to the roof?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we climbed those stairs that some of you climbed today, and we went all the way to the roof. Well, when we got to the roof and he tried to open the door, he couldn't open the door. It was locked. And he was trying to figure out how to open it, and I was about to pass out. And what the thought that came through my mind was that I appreciate the mayor, but I don't think he's big enough to carry me down the steps. So that's what I was thinking about at the time. But I am so thankful that the Absher family, Mayor Absher and Cheryl, invited me to be part of this. Last night I started writing in my journal all the people that I wanted to thank, and I got to page 3 and realized that I won't be able to thank everybody. I do want to recognize everybody this way. If you were part of the grant that helped us with this building, or you're still managing that grant, would you just raise your hand, because some of you are in the room here. If you taught one of our courses over the last 6 years for our small business incubator, you taught a course, or even if you came to one of our courses, would you raise your hand? If you are one of our current anchor tenants on the 3rd floor, whether you're an anchor tenant or whether you're an incubator tenant, would you raise your hand? And if you're helping us today by either being part of our band or the food and drinks that you offered for us today, would you raise your hand? I'm sure I'm leaving people out. But as you can see, this is a community effort. This is more than just 1 or 2 persons. God has been good to us. My wife Rocio and I were praying for this occasion this morning. And she prayed that this has been a second home to our family over the last 5.5 years. And that's an answer of prayer to our family, but I think it's an answer of prayer for the community too. Because the hope and dream for these spaces that you can see today is a second home for you, a place that you can come work, a place that you can come study, a place where you can come and be around people that love not just Marion, Illinois and Southern Illinois, but love to support and see other people grow and be successful. And that's a great business to be part of. And I just want to thank everybody who's helped us in the last 6 years to put this together. I will name some names because there's a couple people that really came in at, some came in at the finish. I say it's the finish because I've been here for 6 years. They've been here for a couple years. But you mentioned Jeff Moak is one of those. Jeff Hilliard built these beautiful columns, and he's still working on the 4th floor to build these columns. But there's a guy over here named Michael Absher. And Cole, I want to thank you because you're a godsend, and you're a wonderful guy. And I appreciate it. Cole, there's nothing Cole will not do, including cleaning the bathrooms yesterday. And that's one of the things that was last on my list to do. But I want to thank my family for supporting this. They've been up and down these steps and doing different things to help this happen, including cleaning. I want to thank Tara Farthing and Byron Farthing. If you've not seen the doors from the old hotel on the 4th floor and what they've done to restore those, and there's many more doors and windows that we rescued that we're trying to repurpose, so we're not finished yet. We have a long way to go. But Tara, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you all for being here today. What a turnout. We had no idea this many folks were going to come. We didn't know how many would fit into the room. We're still testing all of that. But thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn this over to the chamber folks again, because I think we're going to do a ribbon cutting.
Everybody count down, okay? Starting with 3, 2, 1. Thank you all for coming. If you have not seen the rest of the building, we've had several people be very happy to give you some tours of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. We're going to have music. We've got more food. If you're not got any Friday night plans, please feel free to hang out for a little bit. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Congratulations.
The